Hello and welcome to the part 1 of my 2024 F1 season simulation. If you want to know how to find out how it works, check out the part 0 in the pinned comment, or I'll probably put it in the tablet as well. Anyway, it's time for round 1 of the 2024 Bahrain Grand Prix. So here we go. Starting with the preseason, I made this graph so you can kind of see how the projected pace is. Obviously, it's going to vary between circuits. When it comes to the pace itself, Red Bull should be on top, at least from the projected pace. There are a lot of teams who could be very close, as we can see in the max. That's basically how close it can be, or the team can be to Red Bull. And in the min, that means the minimum, or the minimum pace it can have, basically around the lowest or the furthest away how it can be from Red Bull itself. So yeah, we could be in for a very exciting season or quite a boring one like 2023. Well, we'll see. Obviously, the upgrades are going to change everything, and I guess we can move into the race 1. In Q1, we have quite a smooth sailing session. No interruptions, no yellow flags, just a couple of track limits violations from one driver in specific. As we can see in the results, they're gonna change a bit. Provisionally, it's Max on P1, Leclerc P2, Russell P3, Norris P4, Hamilton P5, Piastri P6, Sainz P7, Alonso P8, Tsunoda P9, Albon in P10. Well, the final classification of qualifying 1 has Charles Leclerc in P7. Unfortunately, he got his lap time deleted. The faster one, the slower one still stands, so he's only qualifying in P7, but still has a lot of time to improve. So hopefully we can see some good Ferrari pace. Moving on to qualifying 2, which has a driver from Esteban Ocon who damaged his car over a curb and had to return to the pits. Unfortunately, he couldn't continue and will not take part in this other session because he couldn't set a time. There was another track limit violation, unfortunately. In Q2, Hamilton tops the session with Norris and Piastri just behind, in less than half a tenth behind. Perez in P4, surprisingly out ahead of Max, which is probably very surprising for a lot of you. Russell P6, Ricciardo P7, Leclerc P8, P9 for Tsunoda, and P10 for Carlos Sainz. Out in Q2 were Alonso, the two S's of Hülkenberg, and Magnussen P12 and P14 respectively, P13 for Albon, and P15 for Ocon with no time. Very, very bad first qualifying for Alpine generally. Moving on to final classification, the track limit violations is by Charles Leclerc again. Unfortunately, he drops out to P11, so that means Alonso actually gets through to Q3. So yeah, very, very bad for Ferrari to not get into Q3 with both cars in the first race. Unfortunate, but that means for the Aston Martin fans, your Alonso gets into P10 and the Q3. So yeah, good for Alonso. Going to the Q3, we have provisional pole for Max Verstappen, P2 Lewis, P3 Russell, P4 Norris, P5 is Perez, P6 and P7 are Ricciardo and Tsunoda, P8 Alonso, P9 Sainz, and P10 is Piastri. From drivers, it's Sainz and Piastri. Unfortunately, Piastri had more of a harder or more punishing driver, which resulted in him setting no time and getting damage. Unfortunately, it also caused a red flag, which means a lot of drivers are unfortunately not performing as well as they could. Probably most notably, it should be Russell, Alonso, and Sainz, but Sainz obviously had the driver himself, so he couldn't set another time. Unfortunately, qualified only P9, so a very, very, very difficult qualifying for Ferrari. which also, we have Lewis dropping to P5. Unfortunately, he had a track limit violation, dropping from the first row to the third row. Unfortunate, but still a Mercedes in the P2 behind Max. Norris P3, Perez P4, Hamilton P5, Ricciardo P6, Tsunoda P7. Very closely matched between them two. Alonso P8, unfortunate. P9 for Sainz. Very, very unfortunate for Ferrari. And P10 is Oscar Piastri with no time classified, unfortunately. Yep, this was the end of qualifying. Very, very interesting. Despite Max being in pole position, it has 3 different cars in the P1, 2, 3, basically the top 3. Yep, we have Perez relatively close to Magdalene, 3 position behind. Is better than the average deficit it was in 2023, but still not great, over 3 times. Hamilton, obviously due to the track limit violation, is 3 times behind Russell, which is also a great showing. Very closely matched between the AlphaTauris. Alonso P8 maybe could have been higher up if it wasn't for obviously being his lap being disturbed by the red flag. We'll never know where we will actually qualify, but I mean P8 is still pretty decent considering he could have not made it into Q3 at one point. We have Sainz in P9, unfortunately couldn't send another time after his driver, and P10 Piastri with no time, unfortunately. We get to the starting grid. We have Max in P1, Russell P2, Norris P3. A very, very interesting top 3 for the start of the race. P4 is Perez, P5 Hamilton, then AlphaTauri is behind him. Alonso P8, P9 Sainz, P10 Piastri. We have P11 Leclerc. Very, very bad for Ferrari overall. P12 Hülkenberg, P13 Albon, P14 Magnussen, P15 Ocon, P16 Gasly, P17 Sargent, P18 Stroll, P19 Bottas, and P20 is Joe. So the last row locked out by the Sauber team, or whatever state F1, whatever team I'm calling a Sauber for the simulation, and I'm going to be calling AlphaTauri as far as they're not officially renamed to whatever racing bulls they will be. Yeah, this is the starting grid. We'll see. Hopefully we will see some change and some interesting battles. Who knows? We do the race results, and they change quite a bit. We have drivers by Ocon, Gasly, and Hülkenberg, which only caused damage to their own cars. We had those 3 involved with some kind of incident which happened to damage their cars. Maybe it was together. I mean, we have 2 Alpines. They are very likely to crash into each other. So, Hülkenberg probably ran over a curb or something like that. Is probably not very, very durable. But overall, we had an uninterrupted session. No virtual safety car, or red flag. So it was a pretty much full racing. We have Max winning the race, but not a big of a margin. Obviously, I can't simulate the exact race gap there was, so it would be very, very difficult, and probably I would probably not manage to do the entire season just before the first race with that. So yeah, we have P2 for Russell retaining P2. A great showing from Russell, beating Lewis in the race as well. Alonso, P3, made it up 5 places to the podium from P8 on the grid. Very great showing from the Aston Martin driver. We have P4 Perez, no change there. Neither did Hamilton in P5. We have P6 for Norris, who dropped 3 places from his P3 grid spot. Unfortunate, we have Leclerc, who made up 4 positions and gets the fastest lap. So 7th position and 7 points for Charles. We have P9 for Ricciardo, who also dropped 2 positions. So unfortunate for the AlphaTauris, who couldn't manage to keep their high grid spots. Tsunoda as well, dropping 4 positions, even out of the points. Piastri, P9 made up 1 position. So decent. Not really great for McLaren. Considering their their ambitions. Yeah, P9 for P10 for Sainz is also not great, considering the Ferraris should be more up there, even if even considering it's Bahrain Grand Prix. Bahrain is usually a good circuit for the Ferraris. Yeah, that rounds up the points. P11 for Tsunoda, P12 for Albon, P13 and P14 for the Alpine drivers. So I mean, with damage, they still finish quite alright. I mean, it's not their aim to finish P13 P14, but it's alright. It could be better, considering the drivers made still alright showing from the team, I guess. P15 and P16 by the Haas drivers, Hulkenberg in front of Magnussen, both dropping places. Pretty much the same situation as in last year in 2023. Haas qualifying alright, but dropping out in the race. Hulkenberg with the damage as well. Unfortunately, couldn't really any higher. P17 Stroll, that's a really poor showing. Made at one position, but that's not really that impressive considering Alonso made up 5 positions onto the podium. Stroll only P17. Yeah, not great showing for Stroll. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just Stroll from last year, not really performing to this year as well. We have Logan starting in P18, another great showing from Sargent as well, considering Albon could have finished P12. Then we have the Sauber cars in P19 and P20. Bottas had of a show, so that's the race results. Pretty interesting first race considering Max won, but we have a great drive from Alonso and quite a good drive from Leclerc as well, considering qualified P11, still got P7 with a fastest lap as well. That could be a valuable point later on. Obviously, it's a simulation, so anything can happen. I wouldn't write off anyone behind Max just yet. Obviously, the first look doesn't look too good. I mean, Max winning, probably not very exciting for most of the people, but we could see some crazy stuff as it happened in my previous concept of the simulation. Max ended up in like P4 in the Drivers' Championship, so I mean we could see some craziness later on in the season. Obviously, going to the standings after round 1, I mean it's pretty much the results of the race. We have Max leading the championship with P2 Russell, P3 for Alonso, both on one podium, with Max getting a win and a pole position, and the fastest lap for Charles. We come to the constructors. It's Red Bull in P1 with 1 victory, 1 podium, 1 pole position. Mercedes in P2, not that bad considering where they were the last season in Bahrain. I mean, P6 and P8 or P5 and P7, just not a great showing last year. Considering Leclerc could have finished on the podium if it wasn't for the engine just KO. So yeah, decent showing from Mercedes in the first race. We have Aston Martin in P3 with 15 points and 1 podium from Alonso. Yeah, I mean, a bit worse than last year considering they also had Alonso in P3 and the first race, but now they don't have Stroll up there as well. So yeah, could have been better. McLaren not quite the results they wanted from the first race, but P4 only 27 points. I mean, only, it's not like great look, but yeah, they're at least having double-digit points compared with Ferrari, who only have 8 points. With the fastest lap though, so they could have some pace in that car still. AlphaTauri with 4 points, the last team to score points in the first race. We have Williams, obviously, with Albon finishing P12. They move up to P7 in the constructors with 0 points. Alpine's just behind Albon, so yeah. The Haas's finish, and the Sauber obviously last in the constructors after the drivers finished the bottom 2 positions. Upcoming is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that could come out within 2 days. So if you want to see that, consider subscribing. It will greatly help me out in motivation and keep this going. Obviously, I'll probably keep this going anyway because it's a lot of fun for me to do. But I hope I could entertain you as well if you enjoyed this video. So consider subscribing. Yeah, thank you and see you in the next one. Bye.